Hi guys, so could this be the straw that breaks Boris Johnson? Now recently, both on live streams and on social media, people have asked me, what will it take to bring down Boris Johnson? And in all seriousness, I've said toilet paper and petrol. What I mean by this is that there are certain things that when they're in short supply will put immense pressure on the government to act, and it could eventually bring down this government, or at least Boris Johnson. We've seen how Teflon Johnson has acted during the pandemic, and we've seen how Brexit has caused massive disruption and headaches for both consumers and businesses without denting his support, really. Well, perhaps the first domino is about to fall, as we have this from Sky News.
Bit of breaking news from BP. We know we've had all sorts of issues with haulage drivers and lately with CO2. Well, BP are now saying that they're experiencing a fuel supply issues at some of their retail sites in the UK and say, unfortunately, there have been a handful of sites temporarily closed due to a lack of both unleaded and diesel fuel. These have been caused by delays in the supply chain, they say, which has been impacted once again by the industry-wide driver shortage across the UK. BP say that they're working hard to address the issue and will continue to work with their haulier suppliers to minimise disruption and ensure efficient and effective deliveries to their customers. They say they apologise for any inconvenience caused. So BP perhaps saying don't panic if you can't get fuel at any BP stations. The problem is to do with hauliers, and they are working very hard and apologise.
Now, saying don't panic is probably the worst thing to say, because what do people do when you tell them not to panic? They panic and they go out and buy excess fuel, which creates more problems. Now, this, of course, is a consequence of the heavy goods vehicle driver shortage, which is a consequence of Brexit. The government are not interested in actually fixing this problem. But if people can't if people can't get their petrol, or there are at least queues to get petrol, it will make people angry, and they will turn their ire to the government. You know, when I also said about toilet paper, it's the same thing. If there's a shortage of toilet paper, people will complain, because what happens is, and we've seen it during the pandemic, when there's a shortage of something, certain people will go out and they will buy up everything that's available, and then they will try to sell it off online or on the black market or whatever. This is not good for the government, especially when it comes to petrol, because many people, of course, have to travel to work. They need to put petrol in their cars. If the price goes up, they're not too happy with the government. If there's a shortage, they're not too happy with the government, and they will continue to put pressure on their local MPs. But at the moment, we're just seeing some outlets having problems. I've heard from supporters on the channel who said that their local area, it's difficult to get petrol. Some of the stations are closed or semi-closed. Pumps have been locked. This is concerning, because it's not just the problem of getting the fuel from the depots to the stations. There are also concerns about supply of chemicals to refine the oil. So even if you could get the petrol, you could resolve the problem of getting the petrol to the stations. There's also, it seems, a shortage of chemicals because of getting the chemicals. The chemicals have to be purchased from abroad. They have to be brought into the UK and then used. But if there's a shortage of chemicals, there's going to be a shortage of fuel. So even if you fix the heavy goods vehicle driver shortage for fuel deliveries, you're going to still have the problem of getting the chemicals into the country, which need to be delivered by heavy goods vehicle drivers. So the problem here, of course, is heavy goods vehicle drivers. There's not enough of them. The solution from the government is we're going to train up more. But as I've said before, that takes months. It's expensive. It's not going to solve the problem in the short term. It may eventually solve the problem in the long term, but in the short term, you're going to see a massive amount of pressure, I hope, put on the government, because they know the solution to this. They need to ease the restrictions on drivers from abroad. But if they do that, then they're going to piss off many racists. People who supported Boris Johnson back in 2019, people who wanted him to get his Brexit done, people who basically voted to keep foreigners out. They need to do a U-turn on this. And I think a U-turn will eventually arrive, but it will be too little too late. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?